Oh my god, I fucking got it. Greetings, Suicidalists. It's Friday, and you know what that means. New review. Or, in this case, reviews, plural. I'm going to tell you what you're going to be watching this weekend, and in one case, what you're not going to be watching this weekend, because, let's be honest, who has time for overhyped cinematic dog shit these days? Time is a commodity. It's a doubleheader review this week, and I'm going to start things off with a look at the latest from directorial duo, the Twisted Twins, Jen and Sylvia Soska, with their latest feature, American Mary, and then after that I'm going to take a look at an obscure action movie rarity from the 80s that was recently unleashed upon the world from Drafthouse Films called Miami Connection. So let's not beat around the bush because I've got work to do. American Mary concerns the fate of Mary Mason, a promising med student with an eye on surgery. But Mary is constantly dogged by the high cost of medical school, and it's not certain if she's ever going to be able to pay her bills. So when she turns to erotic massage as a possible revenue stream, it turns out that her skills as a fledgling surgeon are more valuable to the club's criminal clientele, and somehow this leads her down a road to the arms of the local body modification community. She's sought out by a woman who wants her to remove her primary sexual characteristics in exchange for a very hefty sum of money, and Mary is only so happy to oblige. Unfortunately, everything goes wrong for her when she is drugged at a party and raped by her professor. So off Mary goes looking for revenge, and then some other shit happens. Maybe it's just me, but it seems like I've been hearing about American Mary all the time. All day, every day, via social media. I keep an eye on my Twitter feed, and it seems like at any given time there is at least a tweet above the fold that is about this movie. And it invariably sings high praises about this movie. And I'm hoping that this isn't coloring my expectations of the movie, because I would like to know which American Mary those people are watching. Because this American Mary is an incomprehensible piece of shit. And just so it doesn't sound like I'm shitting on the movie from top to bottom, I'll start with the positive. Katherine Isabelle is great. She is a fantastic actress, and she's gained a solid reputation acting in some pretty high-end indie horror. And it's just such a shame that such great acting talent is wasted on such an unrepentant piece of shit. The positive ends there. I hate giving bad reviews. It's one of the reasons I burned out on writing the blog originally. I kept watching all of this contemporary horror. I was just so underwhelmed by what I saw that was passing for horror among the current crop of horror film directors that I just didn't want to talk about it anymore. But I kept hearing about how fucking awesome American Mary is that I figured I'd just take it for a spin and see if it was a good fit for Cinema S, and as it turns out, it wasn't. That synopsis I gave back there, that describes the entire movie, and yet it describes only 30 minutes of it, the first 30 minutes of it. The remaining 60 minutes of the movie is this pastiche of ideas lifted from David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers, and any given Marilyn Manson video. We're constantly barraged with this idea that there's this mutant cult of body mod aficionados out there. They're compelled by kinky sex and a pathological need to have this gonzo body made to order. And then crammed into the proceedings is this are pieces of this I spit on your grave style revenge story, but nothing really sticks. It's just a series of weird ideas without a single narrative thread. I get the feeling that the Soska sisters are much better at self-promotion than they are at filmmaking. Because for a movie so saturated, so drenched in ineptitude, there's this huge torrent of hype surrounding it. And enough so to actually break through my hype shields and leave me feeling like it was a movie that I needed to see. And now thinking back on their last picture, Dead Hooker in a Trunk, I seem to remember just as much hype behind that movie. And based on this case study, I'm fairly certain that I can go through my life without seeing that movie. Now, I wish that I had more to say about it, but bad reviews leave me reaching. I just don't have anything good to say about it. American Mary is nothing but a bad movie, and I hate talking about bad movies with nothing resembling a redeeming quality. America Mary is just a handful of idea fragments and lukewarm shocks. For a movie about body modification, in a scene where the Soska sisters actually undergo surgery to exchange their left arms, it doesn't give you much more than the idea. There's not even a parade, a freak show of body mods on display. It's just this bland movie that's trying desperately to convince you that it is the absolute point of no return on the edge, but don't be fooled because it's all just smoke and mirrors. Miami Connection is one of those movies that leave me wondering if I can actually describe this movie with a straight face. See, it's the mid-'80s in Orlando, Florida, not Miami. Miami is actually a considerable distance from Orlando. And there's this motorcycle gang that also happen to be ninjas, and they raid a coke deal, and they make off with the cocaine and the money. The ninja gang is tied to a street gang in Orlando who are led by the brother of a woman who sings for a band called Dragon Sound. Now, Dragon Sound are the new house band at Club Park Ave. And the old house band is really kind of pissed off about this. Now, Dragon Sound just want to rock hard and study harder at the University of Central Florida and rock hardest at Taekwondo. But their beef with the old house band inevitably brings them to blows with the street gang and then the ninjas by default. Meanwhile, the Dragon Sound keyboardist Jim is looking for his long-lost father. So, will Dragon Sound kick enough street gang and ninja ass to make it to the gig on time? Will Jim be reunited with his long-lost father? You're just going to have to find out. Like the Twisted Twins, Drafthouse Films spent a lot of last year and this year hyping the release of Miami Connection. But unlike American Mary, Miami Connection is a bad movie with a lot to love about it. It has this script that seems to have been written by a 10-year-old. As a matter of fact, this is like something I would have written when I was in 4th grade, and all my 4th grader buddies would have eaten this up. It seems to exist in a world where badass gangbangers in the streets of Orlando, FL are best represented by chubby white guys in ninja t-shirts. They all seem to shop exclusively at Army and Navy surplus stores. And if they're not out on the street corner harassing all women all the time, then they're in some gym sparring endlessly and lifting weights until forever. Miami Connection is a bad movie of epic proportions. It is on par with something as bad as Birdemic. Every single detail about this movie is incomprehensible, and I was often left wondering what director Y.K. Kim thought he was doing. But it also has this naive energy to it that excuses all of the oblivious incompetence, and what you're left with is a truly joyous expression of the martial arts. Never mind that it has no idea how cheesy it actually is. You too will be left feeling that with nothing but brotherhood and taekwondo, you can rid the streets of cocaine and ninjas. For a movie so cheap, it is remarkably complicated in its plotting. There is a labyrinthine quality to Miami Connection that can be a little hard to follow at times, particularly when it comes to where the ninjas are supposed to come into the picture. The beef between Dragon Sound and the street gang circles around and around, but the ninjas are this sort of orbital plot device that step in occasionally for no other reason than to cash in on a sort of popular craze for ninjas in the 80s. There's also some surprisingly catchy musical numbers in this movie from Dragon Sound. There's a pair of songs, Friends and Against the Ninja, that I swear to you, no matter how truly awful they are, they will be stuck in your head for days. And if dragons sound like anything, apparently they sound like a Journey ripoff band that you would have found in the cutoff bin of your local record store. But if that's not surprising enough, the fight scenes in this movie are actually remarkably well done. A woeful characteristic of fight scenes in 80s American chopsocky movies was a stream of unbearably shitty fight scenes. And while Y.K. Kim's direction and choreography isn't likely to put Jackie Chan out of business anytime soon, the choreography, the editing, the shots, they're worth talking about. Infectious weirdo cult movies are becoming harder and harder to find. And it's nice to know that you can still stumble across something as strange as Miami Connection and be floored by it. All I had to say on Facebook about it was karate fighting rock band thwarts cocaine stealing ninjas on motorcycles. The next thing I knew, 3 of my friends had seen it the next day. So do yourself a favor, catch up with Miami Connection. It's streaming on Netflix now, and you could probably skip American Mary. As a matter of fact, you could probably wipe your ass with the money you would ordinarily spend on American Mary, and the end result would be the same. Or you could just send me the money without the poop. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, and down in the comments, if you've seen American Mary or Miami Connection, let me know. And let me know what I ought to review next. Stupid cocaine.